Hi, welcome to my studio. Carolyn here, Carolyn Colliger Fine Art. I'm so glad we'll have an opportunity to paint together today. This is a motif I've selected, this old tractor I found out in a field. Thought it would be fun to paint. So let's go ahead and paint, put out to pasture. So as you can see, I already have my line drawing on my canvas. I have my photo reference here, and I've actually made this line drawing available to you as a PDF. You can go ahead and print it off and use it. And you can see that I've already put out all of my paints. And what I've done is, in using all the primaries, I use white, cad yellow, yellow ochre, scarlet red, alizarin crimson, terra rosa, ultramarine blue, burnt umber. I have a turquoise, I have a bright light green, and as the primaries go, actually green isn't part of a primary color, it's a secondary. I use these primaries to go ahead and mix up any secondary colors I might want to use. So I've made up an orange and a purple, and I have a green on my palette. These colors are actually used to go ahead and gray other colors and to set them further back. You might also use them in shadows. So very important. I've already gone ahead and mixed all the colors I'm going to put on the palette or on the canvas. So I'm going to use the orange out. I have a dark and a light for our tractor. I have a grade blue, cooler blue for the side of the house, the farmhouse. I have the green, a dark green for underneath the grasses, where you can kind of see in this photo reference. I have the purple for our shadows that we're going to go ahead and put in underneath the tractor in front, and also there's a shadow that I picked up here. And then the barn color, I've got the black for the tires, and yeah. So anyway, when I go ahead and I start to paint, I go ahead and I lay in all of my darks first. So I might as well just jump right in and go ahead and get in our tractor color. And our tractor tire. Did I say our tractor color? Tractor color is going to be this rusty orange color. So it's going to be really, really exciting to hopefully give a nice little cheery pop and kind of be like a in contrast, shall we say, to all the dead grasses. This is a scene that I photographed, and in a pasture for a farm that had cows, and it was very, very interesting. What caught my eye about it, what I wanted to do was capture the fact that this is the very old tractor put out into the field, and then right behind it you see this sporty four-wheeler, and I just thought that was an interesting contrast. It's kind of a testimony to our times. So we're going ahead and laying in all of the darks, and you'll see that I'm getting the, I just want to see how much more tire I want to get in here, because we do start with a rim in there. I just want to make sure that I get the right sizes there. Okay, so I see some in here. Everywhere that I see dark, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick it up. So I see some in there. I see some over here in the front of the tractor here. The grill of the tractor, I guess we might say that is. And then it kind of comes down. It also jogs right back out here, kind of comes across here. And then there's a whole shadow that's kind of coming along all the way down here. There's the tire that is the back tire, the other side tire to the tractor tire, and that would lay that in. And then I see that this dark comes up here onto the top, so I'm going to lay that in. And I see that it kind of, there's a shadow over here from this, from this part of the tractor. I'm not quite sure exactly what they call that, but I'm going to go ahead and just get some color in there so I remember when I come back what's what. So we've got that tire back there. See if I see any other ones that are like a black or a dark gray. So I do see this window over here. I want to grab this window and put it in because it's going to be a really nice way of making the exhaust on the tractor pop that silver or chrome colored exhaust there. And we're going to get that. So we'll put these in, this window in here. And what else do we see? You just see a little line right underneath that part there. Let me see. I don't have this really the right shape that I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, extend that. Bring this over here. Kind of comes up about that far. Kind of comes all the way around here. And we'll go ahead and get that in. I can bring this dark pretty much, we're going to lay that in there again, pretty much up to this tire. And actually, I really do still see a lot of dark underneath here, so we'll go ahead and put that in. I also see we have our dark barn in the back, so we'll go ahead and lay that in. I know in the photograph it looks really, really dark, but in the reality, since it's as far back as it is, we probably want it to be a little bit lighter, a little grayer, perhaps a little more subdued. So we'll go ahead and just get it in for right now, and then we're going to tweak it. We also have the opportunity and want to go ahead and know that we're going to have this four-wheeler stand out. So to do that, we need to have it be actually a little bit to the darker side, especially right in here. We'll go ahead and just scrub this color in. This is not anything too important to us at this point. We're just going to get some color in, and then we're going to come back and work with everything again after that. So we're just going to get it around the four-wheeler. And there, and that there. Everything at this point, we just want to have a nice thin layer so that it can go ahead and set up and then be informing us. So over here we have just some sort of a little building, like a carport or something. We're going to go ahead and we might actually just take this all the way up to the top. It's really just to stop our eye so that we don't so that we stay within the canvas, and we'll have that come to about, let's see, actually that's going to be both of these are going to be behind the four-wheeler. And then I do see also the black of the seat that's right in here, so we're putting that in. That's where all sorts of grasses are going to pop up in there. Then I see, let's go ahead and lay in the shadow of the tractor, because that's also dark. You may notice that I'm working with a palette that is gray. The reason that I do that is because that color gray is at about a 5% on the thing called a value scale. And now if you don't know what a value scale is, that is anywhere numbers 1 to 10, white being the lightest, obviously black being the darkest, and right in the middle would be a 5. And this is if you added no color to your palette, or sorry, no color to your to what we're actually talking about or looking at, no color, but just everything in blacks and whites and grays. The 5 is right in the middle. And so as you're looking at your painting, you're actually looking and saying, well, this is like a 7 or an 8. and then in the lighter foreground, it might be a 4, and you're kind of assigning it a value and importance, and so that's really important. I see a little bit of a dark line here that is where the house, the foundation of the house is, so we'll go ahead and put that in. And then give one more look, and we go ahead and we see that we've got our dark grasses, especially right here. I want to go ahead and pick these up. This is where the kind of lead-in is going to come, and then there's going to be the light grasses that are going to kind of pop right in here. So we'll scrub some of the color in there. Here. See, they're kind of. So you're just really looking at your photo reference over and over again to see where do you see various colors. So I see that we have some of the dark, might be also some in here for the grass. And actually, you know, we might as well, since we're going to be going so light, we're going to go ahead and scrub in. Let's go ahead and put this dark green underneath where all the grasses will be. And I'm going to stop just for a second and grab a bigger brush, because one of the things that's really important is that you don't waste time with a small brush for something that's kind of like just part of the underpainting. This will get more coverage here first, right off of the bat. So we're grabbing up just lots of paint, scrub that in, come in here. So everything in the foreground is a little bit more important, a little more vibrant to what's in the background. So we're going to go ahead and make that with the darker green, and then when we get to the back, we may actually just lighten it up a little bit in the middle ground, and then go much lighter in the background. And that's because in the background you have some distance, and things get a little grayer, a little lighter, a little cooler to the back. So you want to go ahead and emphasize that. Over here, I'm going to make this dark just because with that purple color, the grasses that'll be in there are going to be maybe a little bit gray or a little darker. But as you can see right here in that middle ground, it's already a little bit lighter. So we'll take a middle color of these two and kind of put those into play. And get that over there, and I can also see it underneath this tractor here. It's just a little bit that shows, that really makes that shadow color under there stand out and really pop. So that's nice. Put that in here. And then we want to go lighter. I think I'm going to even grab a little bit more white. I'll make just a little bit lighter as we are. Let's go ahead and put it right here up against where the foundation of the house is going to be. And then we'll come over here and we're going to kind of squeak that in there. And then back here, that's where it's going to be its lightest. So that it's a gray, it's a cool gray green that won't distract from the tractor and what you really want to say in the painting, which is the tractor and then all the dead grasses and how old it looks, and then just the imagery that it's been put out to pasture. All the while there's that bright shiny new four-wheeler there in the background. Okay, so we've got that there. I want to go ahead and pick up, I saw something here that was, what did I see that was black that we didn't get? Oh, right down here by the tire. The tractor tire. Kind of make that tire again. So it stands out there, and then I kind of came in here and didn't mean to do that. So we'll go ahead and lay in our color there too, or dark color there. Okay, so we can go ahead and do the house, the old farmhouse. And what I do in between is I'm never dipping my paintbrush into solvent, odorless mineral spirits, or anything in the middle of a session. I'm taking instead the medium and I'm using it to clean the brush. I'm actually putting it, getting it in there, and then squeezing out the paint to kind of clean the brush that way. And trying to make sure I get as much color out as I possibly can. And if you have any issue, you can always use this totally separate brush. That's perfectly acceptable as well. But the important thing is not to contaminate your colors. So when I feel like I have that out of there, we'll go ahead and we'll pick up that the shadow side of the house. That's going to be that blue-gray color that we made. We'll go ahead and scrub some of that in there. All the while, as you're putting your colors in, you're kind of assessing, you know, should it be lighter, darker, warmer, cooler? These are terminologies that if you don't know them right now, don't worry about it. You will eventually. There's so much actually to learn when you're painting, that if you just start, take in the words, you know, eventually as you've gotten other things under your belt, you'll be able to understand those and then incorporate those afterwards. Sometimes it's just too much stuff at one time to learn, too many moving parts. So don't worry about that. Just go ahead and know that I'm saying, you know, take a look at it. How's it feeling? How's it looking? You know, as artists, you have an eye, and you can say, well, yeah, that I feel like that looks like what I've, you know, what I put down there, the image, and so we go ahead and get that color in there. We want to make sure we feel like, you know, as we talk about the eye, I feel like that's a little bit almost too much, too dark. I want to make it, I think, just a little bit lighter so that it doesn't command all that much attention. I don't want it to be as white as the light side, but I want it to be a little lighter. And again, just getting that color on there. I'm really careful at this point to not try to go into the other areas and grab the color. And if I'm moving it around on the canvas, you know, all of a sudden I'm working with blue and I dip into the black window, and then before you know it, I have just a mess on my hands to have to worry about cleaning up. Did a lot of that, so that's not what you want to do. Now I'll come over here, and I'm going to kind of go down there. If I did touch the darker color, I don't know if you could see that I did just touch that dark brown. I just clean my brush off right in between. I don't even, not even going to move it. It's a discipline that you will learn in time to stop yourself, because you'll always do it at any point. And you know, the difference is just that at some point you say, yeah, I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. I like a little bit of what just happened here with some of this mottled color on the side, because the farmhouse looks old and it looks like, you know, a little dilapidated. So I can kind of just, I can always come back in with some other color. Actually, the photo reference looks like it might have a tan or dirty brown or kind of color there. So we'll go ahead, we'll just drop that in there and we can come back to that afterwards. So after we did all the dark colors, then we come back in with our, just fill in all the rest of the colors. If they aren't the darkest value, we still want to get them in. We want to get the whole canvas covered, because then we're going to then go with the next layer, start to pick up detail. First thing we've got to do though is get the whole canvas covered. So I did the kind of the cool blue side of the farmhouse. It's actually a white farmhouse, but again, because the sun is hitting, the sun's coming from this right corner, right upper corner, it's hitting here. You can kind of see, wow, that's a lot of bright morning light there. That's why it's casting all the shadows this way. And then that side of the house is in shadow as well. So we're going to go ahead and be aware of that. So let's go ahead and pick up the white. Let's go ahead and put in that white on that side. What I want to do, I feel like I just want to take some white. I didn't have this one mixed already, but I am going to take just a little bit of white with an orange. That'll be that nice kind of sunny color on the side of the house. And depending on, you know, how this reads after we have seen it and, you know, assessed it, we can decide, well, gee, I don't know if I really want to have it that bright. We don't want it to take away from the focal point. The star of the show is just right here. This is tractor. So we want to go ahead and make sure that we have not too much importance in other places. Feel free to move your brush in all sorts of different ways and directions to achieve what you want to achieve. In the beginning, when you're first painting, you're maybe like right over here like this, and you're doing that and being really careful that way. But you actually can turn your brush and use it this way. And again, the only rule is I just touched the brown of that barn. The rule is if you touch a color that you don't want to be in the color you're working with, you just have to stop, take a moment, pinch out the brush, and then go back in again. There, I just contaminated with a little bit of brown right in there, so I'm going to kind of just try to lift that off. Go very, very, very gently. See, I'm almost putting the paintbrush horizontal to the canvas. Just a very, very light touch. I'm hardly putting any pressure in on that. So just looking at that line, and it looks like it's not really 100% straight. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay down another stroke there. And then we'll go ahead and get another stroke in here. There we go. All right, and then, our sky color. I didn't mix in the sky color. I feel like I'm going to take a little bit of the turquoise that I have. Again, you can have cerulean blue, a turquoise, or a color that might be really, really strong versus like a cerulean, which would be the turquoise. I would mix it with a little yellow ochre to get it to have just a little like a softening, a little cooler of that really hot viridian color. I'm sorry, viridian, turquoise. And I test that up there, and I feel like I want to add more white to it. So I might actually make a lighter pile right next to it here. So let's see if I like this better, if it's a little bit lighter, a little bit softer. And it is. I can also, yeah, I think that's going to be nice. I'm going to just add a little bit more white over there. And get in that that sky over that barn. Come in over here, cut that in. You almost have to hold your breath when you make those strokes so you don't shake. No shaking. You're going to shake, you're going to mess up that stroke for sure. And then we have a tight fit to about down here. Make sure we're wiping out our brush so we don't pick up the dark colors that are going to really bring that color. Lay that in there, go down to there, and then so what has happened in the very back here, I don't know if you can see it between these two buildings, is a gray, and it looks like a distant mountain. We're going to go ahead and into our gray pile, and we'll pick up a little white just to really lighten it, add some blue. It was a very cool gray, that white in it, and then that way it's not reading as sky, because you're not going to bring sky right down between the two buildings unless that property is on a mountaintop or hilltop. So we'll just go ahead and just kind of see it kind of coming in behind here. And let's see here. And we're going to go ahead and add just another little pop of the sky color in here. And pull that down into there. I may just make this just a little darker here. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and lay in the color on our tractor. I made an orange that had a little bit of blue in there to gray it. Pretty strong color. I think I'm going to just add a little bit of Terra Rosa to it. And then we're going to see about coming in here with that little bit of a dark color. I might need some burnt umber in there just to... We have a shadow side to this rim that's on our tractor tire. So we want to go ahead and get that in. And then I feel like I want to put this also in here. Yeah, just getting this rusty red color is really something. All right, so we can continue on here with the under color of this rusty tractor. I want to make it a little bit more vibrant. I don't really want it to be absolutely so dreary, but let's see what happens here. So I see the line of the tractor comes down here and kind of comes underneath here, and you're looking constantly, like looking and trying to see what next? What next? What's the next color? What's the next color? So I feel like that color, this where I just led this in here, this paint in, it's actually in shadow more. So I think I'm going to just knock that back with taking the black. It's like I don't want it to be as black as the tires, but I need it to be black enough that it reads as in shadow. And bring that on down in here, because that's the tire. I can drag some of this over into that, so it stays dark, but it's still a color. So, yeah, we have that. Actually goes all the way to the front here. Bring down some of the color here, and then we have a line that's going to go across here. Put that in. I want to add a little bit more of the black tire into there. And then I see we still have to put in our little doodad that is part of the, I don't know if that's like a carburetor or some important part of the engine. In the very end, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the steering wheel. I see a steering wheel in there, but I don't have it in there yet, so we're going to go ahead and put that in. Just take a second to go over here to soften this line with the foundation of the house. Here, that's going to come in here, and it comes across there, and there we go, there with that. So I see there's dark grasses that actually have kind of climbed up and grown up inside of this seat. So we want to kind of put those in because they are something that's going to lead our eye. We're going to use it to lead the eye around the painting. Oh, we need to put it on the light part of our wheel, and the back of the seat needs some color. So we're going to go ahead and pick up. Let's see how this color reads. That's pretty bold. We're going to knock it back with a little bit of its complement, which now here we go again. We were talking about values, we were talking about temperatures, now we're talking about and the colors that we're using. And so we, in talking about like using the secondaries to gray, I think you can probably look at this and see, wow, that really did make a difference to the vibrancy. If I take this color that I had just dotted on there, you can kind of just see how much I knocked it back by putting some of the blue, which is its opposite on the color wheel, and you can put that in there, and it just does a beautiful job to give it a gray feeling, a gray color. So with that, this guy comes over like that, and then what I want to do is I want to see if I open up my box here, if I have a Q-tip handy, which I do. I'm so sorry to dig in there and get in there, but what I want to do with this Q-tip is I really want to go in and just wipe out where the grass is going to peek through. And I actually have too much, so I'm going to set that down and pull some of the Q-tip fluff off. And I'm going to go and grab that area off. A little bit of OMS on there, not too much. Oh, and round it about with your fingers there, and just bring in that and wipe it. Another one lives right about there, there. And now we'll come over here and have another one. What color is that one going to be? And if it gets too fluffy, fuzzy, see if you can pull some of that off or roll it around, twirl it, and go back in here and lift off another one. And then one more. So I see those in the photo reference. I see some of them are showing grass, and then some of them are just showing like a dark shadow. So we can go ahead and just lift off that color, and then we can always go back in and we can push some of that back with color again, as long as we know what we're doing there with that. So, okay. Down here I see most of this is in shadow here. We're hardly seeing any color, and it's kind of like a cross between a brown and a black. So I want to put that there. And let's see, well, I'm already at it. I want to just go ahead and push this shadow back up in here. And pick up the green that we were using and kind of shape this wheel and this shadow to be there we go. And it actually just gets to be where you're just playing in here. And okay, so we've got all the colors on the canvas right now. So we're going to go into our next phase, where we're going to go ahead and actually just start to lay on the second layer and start to refine some of the features. There's something that you can remember, that when you paint, just to remind yourself often that you really can't do anything wrong, because you can always go back in, lay down fresh paint, lay down fresh color, and remedy what it is you feel like you did wrong, or do it a little different. So it's a matter of almost just constantly playing with it, trying to get the desired outcome that you want. And that's not anything, somebody can teach you as far as that goes. There is going to be a point where you're going to make decisions on your own and look for, there's foundational items people can teach you, and then things you're going to have to just keep practicing and working at. And I like to tell students that it's an art and oil painting it's a lifetime journey. When you get really good at one thing, there's still some other things that that nag at you, that you want to master, and you want to get good at those things as well. And that's a good thing. It's a lifelong journey. You don't arrive. So we have some color in there, and I feel like it's not commanding too much attention, so it's not, let me break up these barn doors a little bit. It's not going to command too much attention. So, we lifted off some paint there. That's a good thing that you could see that. So we're going to go ahead and just lay that color that came up, put that back there. And one of the things that I do that I like to do is I use my finger on the side of the pochade box and just use it as a, just to steady the hand and the direction. And it's nice. We'll go ahead and maybe throw some of that up here. I see there's just a little bit showing of under the eave. Okay, so now we'll come forward, and this particular, we'll do that same thing with this carport. We'll go ahead and throw in just a little bit of color where the face front is. And the way that you're going to do this is you're picking up your color. I'm using kind of a combination of brown and the lighter brown and the gray that I made up. And I get a couple strokes in there before I have to pinch my brush. But I'm going parallel to the canvas. I'm not stabbing into the canvas. I'm going totally parallel to it. And so that creates just a little feeling of a face front to the carport. I'm going to come back in with some of the dark black for the tires for the four-wheeler. And also just making it, sometimes when you're laying down your initial like thin coat, you don't get something dark enough. But the important thing is just lay down the color, and then you're going to come back in and with a thicker layer. And again, that's why I'm going, oh, I should actually switch brushes. That's important to share with you. So after we laid down our thin coat, we were using a short flat. I like to use these Rosemary & Co brushes that I get out of England, and they seem to have like a really incredible reaction, or help. They're certainly helpful to the strokes that you want to lay down and achieving what you want to achieve. So anyway, it's a long flat is going to help me to lay down and drop color on now. I see shadow that's kind of right underneath. I want to go ahead and put some color under there. I'm going to see whether the purple that I made is actually blue enough and cool enough, and even gray enough. So I'm going to gray that. I'm going to actually pick up for the blue, the opposite of blue on the color wheel is orange. So I would use that, and I'm going to just lay in some color under there with that. And I want it to be a little grayer, so I'm going to add just a little bit more blue and a little bit more orange. And I see maybe it's a little dark, so I feel like I can come back and lighten it up, but I think I'm going to just go ahead and leave that for right now. I think that makes a nice shadow under that four-wheeler. I am going to, since I am working back to front, or at least to get the back area finished, I'm going to go ahead and use my long flat to lay in the rims over the tires. Now that is very bright, and we don't really want that to be that bright there. So because it's in the background and it's not the focal point, it's not what we want to say. I'm just going to lay some gray over it, and that knocks that back. Now it looks really, really pretty, and we'll put some over on this side and grab up some of that. And grab a little bit more. And I see that there's some in the very back of that. I'll go ahead and do that. And I use toilet paper to go ahead and have it hanging from my pochade box, and I like to use small sections of it to go ahead and clean your brush. Now in the photo reference, we've got that four-wheeler has like a red kind of body to it, and I don't want it to be really, really red. So the opposite of red on the color wheel is green. So I'm going to pick up some of my green, throw it into the red. Maybe need just a little bit more red, And it should be a very, very subdued red. So we're going to go ahead and we'll lay it on there and we'll kind of see what we think. Hardly gets any attention. We can actually probably just add just a little bit more. It's just enough like a whisper to let us know what it is. And then I think we can't really see the other details of the handlebar, so I'm going to go ahead and drop in some of the dark brown there, and brown black. That came out a little bit too dark, but I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of our lighter color on there. I think not make it too dark. And then looks like we need to do that on the other side as well, just to carve in the body a little bit. So just take one stroke. One stroke, done. And then I'll go ahead and I'll put this over here. Once I carve it out, I can go ahead and lay that in there. And then I think we'll go ahead and I'll finish that off with the handlebars on there. I really pinch this long brush tight in between, and I make a very, very fine chisel edge to it. And then I can almost use it like a dagger brush or a liner. Lay in that line. And I'm going to come over here and lay in that one. And I can also use the side of it just to bring it across. We're a little short on the one side. I'm going to grab up a little bit more, and it's pretty bright, so we can knock it back a little bit. And this is where I'm going to lay in the stroke like this. And I like that gray on there, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce some over on this side. And that's just enough. That's just enough. I can touch up this guy. And bring the little bar all the way out to the side. And then I see there's just one little area here. Bring this down. And then that way that whole background is going to be done. I think I want to almost go with a very dark brown just to kind of pinch that behind there. There we go. All right, so we did that. I see one little area where we have our light green. I'll probably bring our green in here, all the way up to the carport. Lay that in, and I think in the very back we're going to push that a little further back, even all the way to where the barn is. With that, look, messed and went into the. There we go. Finish your barn there. So we've got that done, and I think now we can go ahead in and work this middle ground up by the farmhouse. And what I want to do is, I see the photo reference, it's a really bright yellow green, and I don't think I really want to put that much bright color in there. I might go ahead and put a little bit mixture of the cad yellow and yellow ochre and a little bit of white. We need to make up a little bit of a pile of it though. You can't have it be, because I'd rather, if I'm going to put any warmer, brighter color, I'd rather have it be here in the front. And your cad red is your warmer red, where your yellow ochre is a cooler red. Makes things kind of go in the back a little bit. So we're going to grab a little bit of white into that, and then we'll see if we like that color, and we can tell if we just lay it on there. We want it to be a little bit of a lighter color. If I squint, I look at the building, the house, and then the grass there. It's considerably, well, we do have like a bit of a stained wall, so we're going to go ahead and probably put that in as well. I think we can go ahead and put a little more yellow ochre in this, and then, sorry, cad yellow, and we'll see if it commands too much attention, we can get rid of it. I'm pinching in my brush really, really good now because I want to go ahead and I want to try to add or lay on some of the tarnish on that building. That's kind of like a brown gray color. So I'm gonna actually get some up under my brush, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be really, really careful to lay it down. I can flip the brush, pinch it out, pick up fresh color, and then, yeah, that's making it look like an old country house. Add that on there, pick up some more, come along this base, pick up some more. Come along the base. It kind of comes about halfway up this window here. I like that because it kind of takes a little bit of the perfection off and that whole bright color that we have in the window. And we go ahead and we just again lay this over here. And that's about as high up as that comes. Pick up a little bit more of the brown, and I'm going to just, wow, now that building looks so much older. It just aged about 100 years. Okay, so the idea would be that we wouldn't see too much of what's happening in here in this building. Let's see here. I feel like we might need to bring this tractor tire in a little bit behind here. And let's see if that helps with the perspective. Let's see, we can come up higher on this side into where all of our greens are laid. There we go. Let's bring that tire up just a little higher. I think we might as well go ahead and this is going to get a little wider here too. You can always knock it back. Sometimes you just have to lay it down and look at it and see what you think. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that comes in on that main body of that the tractor really, really nicely. So lay that down there. And make sure that's not too blue. Soup, come in there a little bit. Okay. All right, so then what do we want to do next? I know we started on the grass back there. I think, how about if we switch gears and we work on this tire? And if a really good one, the tire is done. What I want to pull out are these couple of highlights. They're just like little strokes on half of the tire. Like the treads, they're the treads of the tire. So I think I want to go zoop. Pick up fresh paint. We pinch that brush. Zoop. And we do it again. I see 3 really, really good. And then the rest are kind of like not as distinguishable. But that and that. And hopefully that looks like some treads happening there. We can also go with a little bit of a lighter black to kind of indicate the ones next door. So it's just actually just a little color change and temperature change. Whoop, it's not light enough. Could be a little lighter. Zoop. And then up top. And again, I'm holding on to the push-out with my finger to steady my hand. So when I lay in that, I'm laying in the brush and I'm going at an angle. Boom. That one I didn't like how he came out. We're going to do him again. So we're going to kind of come up and over. And then these others can be still a little bit of darker to them. This guy needs his. And then there we are. That's fun. That's actually like you want to keep doing it. It's like, you know, that's the thing that we artists have to always be so careful about. It seems like when a little looks good and it was fun to do, we want to go in and do like so much more. And that's usually about when we kill it. Anyway, I think we can probably stop with that many. That is so cool looking. It's just so fun. Oh my gosh. Very excited about how that came out. I'll lay down a little extra color on that guy in the back. Okay, so then I see I also want to actually lay in a little bit more black in here because what's going to happen is this green that's in here that doesn't look like anything right now, grasses, these light ochre, yellow ochre, white type dead grasses are going to kind of pop up in there and be kind of coming out the engine and all that. So we really want to have like a lot of dark for those to kind of play off of. In fact, we can even kind of come in here with some more black, brown. They're going to kind of come in here also. Add a little bit of blue to that. I make my black with burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Again, like not buying it out of the tube, not buying it and using it out of the tube, but you know, making our own gives a more dynamic color. There's more things that are happening than what you can get with color straight out of the tube. Although it, you know, some people for, you know, being in a hurry or you know, just want, some people like it, and then that's okay too. But if you want to kind of, you know, experiment and see what you like. It doesn't have to be always what I do or another you know, teacher does. Just and I think any teachers will always say, you know, I'll teach you many things, and then you're going to have to make up your decision on your own anyway. So, all right, so I'm just playing with these shadows down here. Get that, I want that wheel to get pushed further back so it reads the right perspective. Okay, so pinching out my brush some more. Oh, I feel like I need to lay in some more color on this little wheel here, because he is supposed to be really black. And interesting, there's a little tuft of grass there, so I want to remember when we get there, we're going to pick that up. I'm going to lay this guy down and you know, just come back to it after. Kind of fussing with that a little bit, but anyway, let's go ahead, and I still see some more purple coming, or shadow color, let's say, kind of coming up to that. And just drag that all along there. Let's maybe add a little more blue. That's where we were adding the blue and the orange for the shadow color. Whoa, look at that. We did not mix that, but you know what? Sometimes that's okay. That's going to be fine in there. Sometimes it's nice for other colors to pop through. I want to get a bunch of paint on here and kind of drag across there, because we're in our second phase here, where we're supposed to be laying a little bit thicker paint, and you're going to lay it thicker as more you come into the foreground of the painting. So that's going under the tractor, and I'm going to add a little bit of white to pull some of this aside here. I want to lay extra color in here, but I also don't want it to be attracting too much attention. I want it to direct the eye, keep you locked in the painting. So we're going to lay that in some more, and that kind of came across here. That's just some sort of a building that's over here on the right side. We can't really see it, so I don't know how much we'll fuss too much with it, but we'll lay that color in. And let's go ahead and pick up a bunch of this and lay it in. Lay down a stroke. Whoop, well, that had something in it. I was going to say, lay down a stroke and then walk away. Pick up fresh paint. And be purposeful. So this is the shadow of the front end of the tractor. There we go. And yeah, let's see. I like the idea of this tuft of grass happening here. I actually want to lay in, I'm going to come in and lay in some of this darker color right in here again. I think I might actually make the tuft of grass kind of come a little bit closer, maybe right about in here, push it up a little bit, and have it be aiming at the little old tractor. You'll see when we get there, I'll go over that again with you. But anyway, okay, so I need to get some more TP here, and I'm not really liking the color I have back there. I think I might need to throw in a little. I don't think a couple of hints of the brighter green, kind of like showing it's spring. And that's the grasses that are dried and dead are from last year. We'll see if it competes too much. Drop that in there. Let's see, pick up some more blue. So now I'm just bending this pile. I'm working in this pile that I already had going. Let's see, how does that feel to us? That's pretty bright. I might just pull it along and push it up. Before I do that, I probably want to make this line underneath the foundation here a little darker and a little wider. It's going to kind of pop out as we go. Just lay it down, drag it. I'm using the side of the brush, and I'm not using the flat part. I'm using the chisel edge, and I'm just pulling along like that. Pulling along. Grab up some more. Pull. Whoa, that one, whoa. Where'd that color come from? Woo. That was pretty strong dip in there. Okay, now I'm gonna clean off my brush by dipping into my medium and just pinching that color out, pinching it out. Now when I go in and I pick up this color that I'm gonna just lay down, I can even just pull a little bit of it. We don't really want to get a lot of attention going back there, but let's add a little bit of that lighter color there. We really need to have a little bit more. We really want that to read as it's like sitting back. It's a fine line. It's not, whoop, it's pretty hot. Oh, that. Pull that. We went into our tractor shape a little bit there, but that's okay because we can come back and make sure I'm not getting the farmhouse like off kilter there. Let's see. I come up with this color here. I like what that did as far as pull across. Pinch out that brush, give me fresh color, and pull across. Pull across. And then we can kind of come back in here and we'll just be like laying in. I see a lot of like even dirt in there. Let's see what happens if we lay down some dirt. Ugh. Not mean to do that. Pinch out your brush. Give it a little bit of wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let's see. I'm going parallel to the canvas. I'm just like kissing the canvas. I'm not even doing very much to it. Because I do see, oh, whoa, get that white off, lift it off. Lift it off. If that happens to you, just lift it off. That's pretty strong there. We're gonna just kind of keep moving, dragging it, dragging. We don't want to be blending. That's the thing we want to stay away from, but we want to maybe be able to bring some of the brown in, bring it all the way up to the tractor. Just cover the white with it. Again, it's in the back there, so we don't really want it to be, oh, I like that stroke. That kind of just, boom, it leads right to the tractor, so I'm going to leave that in. Sometimes you don't mean for something to happen, but if it happens, you can go with it. Just go ahead and leave it. Oh, I didn't want to cover that. That was a nice stroke also. That's why you've got to go slow. So if you have little nice strokes happen, you can leave them, then you just leave them. Kind of fill in, all I'm doing right now is filling in those spaces. I'm stepping back and just kind of like looking at it and seeing, I feel like we might want to have a little bit of yellow, throw in some gray. Let's test that out and see how. I was going for a little bit of a lighter color, but maybe make the soil there a little lumpy and clumpy. And let's see, it kind of came in green here in the front again, so we'll kind of come in here with the lighter color, because it comes all the way in there. And we probably have to do something with that grass back there too. And it'll be interesting. It's a fine line. Again, we want to have it be a little bit lighter, whiter, brighter, but not too commanding. We look at it and say, you know, should this be warmer, cooler, lighter, darker? Let's see. Let me see if I can put a little more white back No, I feel like back there we better use our yellow ochre and our white. Maybe actually even make that as dirt back there. Let's see what happens if we throw in that like a dirt color. I like it. I like it. Okay. That brown might still help to set off all that. Ooh, don't want to do too much. My thought is just to put a little bit in here where this is going to be the yellow ochre grasses coming out there. And then we'll go ahead and grab up. I'm just grabbing up this color here and making I'm actually just making a kind of a line where there might be some dirt in the driveway up there. Use a little cool blue, gray, cool gray. Let's see, what if we make it? What about this? Dirt. Oh, we don't want it to be too light or too dark. We're going to go and kind of come in here, mixing that. Might even kind of come in here, pick up some fresh up here. And then this hillside might be getting some of the yellower, lighter grass. Let's see what happens if we lay it on there. Oh, what color was that? That's actually a very good thing for you to see happen. Just pinch your brush and then go with the finest edge and you can lift it off. We'll come from above and we're going to push it down, working. Swoop. And pinching the brush, try to come over here and just lift it off. Can also get some of my medium on there. It's a very pretty color, I must say. We'll work it in. We'll pick up some of our yellow, kind of go over it. That's going to make it be a gray because it's purple, and the opposite of purple in the color wheel is the yellow. So we can pick up, let's see what happens now if we just work that in. And come on down here. A little bit more green there, a little blue. I like how messy it looks up there, up top. Let's see what happens if we pick this green and throw some little grasses up. Being really, really careful to not make too much attention go up there, but it is uphill. So we kind of want it to look like it's uphill. And let's throw in this color here. And then if we have enough. I think we're ready at this point to go ahead and grab a long flat brush. I never mentioned in the beginning. Maybe that my favorites actually are the flat brushes. I can get a variety of strokes and shapes as well as really fine edge work with them. And so in picking up the long flat, I'm going to go ahead. I want to address this area right in here where in the photo reference it's a lot browner. The green is just starting to come in, and actually right now it is coming in very much green. But for the purposes of this, I'd like to go ahead and throw a little bit more dirt color in, and then address maybe some like old grasses, or maybe put in some more yellow ochre, and then we will be done. We will be good to go. I need a big pile, and we're kind of getting down. Our pile dwindled down, so I'm going to go ahead and I like to make my brown with a little bit of, actually if you take black, if you took your ultramarine blue and you took your burnt umber, and then I throw a little cad yellow into that, and I feel like it makes a really nice dirt color. I feel like we need to move just a little bit more. There we go, make it a little bit stronger. We've got dirt back here, so now we just need some dirt in here. And I have to look and study. I want to not just throw it in, I want it to be directional. I want it to have a purpose. And I feel like this area in here might just be a good place. It kind of leads to the focal point, which is the tire and the tractor body. And so if I go ahead and just make a shape, and I'm going to look at it. I'm not going to do too much. I don't want to. Maybe can give a little bit of something in here, leading that over, and I'm picking up the paint and laying it down with that, because that's where if it was in the beginning and I was going to scrub with a short flat, I would do that. But I think at this stage we just want to go ahead and soften some edges, and we'll bring some grasses up around that and have that. Maybe since that's in the sunlight, maybe it's actually getting a little bit of another color. A little bit over here, and a little bit, maybe a little bit in here also, just to really give us the feeling that, fill this in here like that, and we are in the light, so let's go ahead and pick up a little bit of yellow ochre and white, and kind of maybe a couple drags across here, get a couple of highlights going on that. I'll pick up some more there, and put some there, and yep, I think we have a good deal. It's really pointing toward the tire there, and I might even come in with my finger and just soften some of this. You can paint, you can finger paint, you have permission, and soften all these edges. Soften down there. Now we made our yard, our pasture, really, really messy. So look out, look out. I like that. And then the decision about throwing in some yellow ochre into the mix with the dried grasses here. I think we're going to go ahead and leave it, and we're going to call it done. So let me go ahead and grab this and give you a little bit of a close-up of it. So I just wanted to go ahead and zoom in on our little tractor that is just looking so cute. And let's see, just give you the idea of what I was kind of sharing about wanting to get where we have the area that we want to punch and show. Those are coming out pretty thick. I'm going to have to go ahead and just pinch out this brush really quickly and come back in a little bit here and see if I can get it to do what I want it to do. This is where I say we're playing. Oh, because we don't want oops, daisy. Just have to warm up here a little bit with this. A couple kind of coming in front of the tire here. Okay, I'm going to lead in stroke there, and then kind of just manipulate this up and down, playing with it to get it to do what we want it to do. So come over here and do a little bit the same thing on the front, over by the front wheel, where again we might just want the eye to stop over here. Lay in a couple of see if I can get out one or two really long ones, longer ones here. Might actually even, that's a little on the long side there. We're just going to be lightly, I'm going horizontal to the image. And laying in. I'm going to direct the eye, just deciding if I'm going to go this way. Yeah, maybe. A little dot there, a little dot and a dash. Okay, and then looking at the photo reference, I see some that are kind of coming over here to toward the seat, so we're going to drop those in. So our eye travels down here. This is why we laid in the dark. If you remember, we laid in the dark so that when we put a lighter color up in front, it'll pop, it'll stand out. So we wanted to have that happen, and I think that's happening really nicely. Again, just playing, so we can't do anything wrong. That's one of the things I always love to tell students, is that they don't really have to worry about doing anything wrong, something ruining something, because it can always be fixed. That color's not coming off there, so we're just going to go ahead and let's see. I feel like I want to see. So our eye comes here. I'm going to put this in here a little bit more. Get the paint to come off. And the eye is coming this way, and it should pick up here on the tire that we have. We have our treads that we've highlighted, and coming around, doing a little bit less up here, and then our eye kind of can grab there, and it's getting directed here, coming into the line of the house, coming down, and then coming right back into the tractor. We're going to put a little directional line on the tractor front here to kind of bring our eye back down there and to stay in the painting. And we'll also kind of give some highlights right in here to kind of bring our eye, continue bringing our eye around there. And let's see, so, well, you could do this all day long, trying to make different shapes and things that you want to make happen here. So I might also choose to go in. I know I use my more summery colors, where in here there are like a lot of dead weeds, but I can always come back in and throw in some yellow, ochre, and white to kind of be dead in with the live, fresh new grass. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean up my brush, pinching it out, and I want to go and add that a lot of these grasses actually that are coming up, we need to make them kind of be seen or happen down in our area of purple. So I'm going to pick up the purple and add just a little white to it, maybe even a little yellow ochre, to really Remember, the yellows are the opposite color of the purple, so I'm going to add some of that to really gray this color down. It's going to be in the shadow. I'm not going to add white there. I'm just going to see if adding yellow ochre brings it to the right level of what we want. And these grasses kind of enter, that's even a little darker than I want, so, I mean lighter. So these grasses are happening under here and going up underneath the inside of the tractor. So I just want to reflect that's happening there. Maybe give a couple more, make it a little bit darker, a little bluer. I feel like I'm going to put a little blue into that. And then we're going to kind of be underneath here with this. Still not blue enough. It's not blue enough. It's not gray enough. The opposite of blue is orange. If I throw a little of that in and mix that, if I come up with the color that I want. Yeah, that's a little bit grayer. I think that's going to work a little bit better. That's really kind of coming up in shadow here. Maybe we'll give some over here on this other little tire. It's in shadow, but we can kind of come across and throw that in. And give some of those guys. Bring that line there. Okay, so I like how that is happening there. And we want to do some highlights on our tractor so that we can go ahead and call it done. I feel like, I say that a lot, I feel like, because I'm constantly studying the painting and what's happening. These grasses that are in here, they're a little bit too green, I feel like would they be coming back up to life if they had grown up in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay some yellow ochre on some of these. Just want to convey the idea that they're dead and dry and done. I'll go ahead and make up a little bit more of our mixture. For this brown, I'm using the burnt umber, and I'm using a little cad yellow. I know that sounds like a hot color, which it is. I'm going to equalize it with a little of the yellow ochre, and maybe kind of come in here and do these, instead of brown, do them as green. I can probably leave some in there. Over the tire there. And then let me get a little medium on here. There we go. I like that better. Get this guy here. Well, we sure got a lot of them in there right now. So I might want to come back and lose some of those after. But I think I might just go ahead and put in some of this yellow ochre here. These are maybe some grasses that are squished, kind of coming up from underneath the tire. And I want to have a little white and a little yellow ochre off to the side here to kind of be the highlights on those guys. Where else? I want to get some over here where we had this cluster of new grasses here. those are some that are caught. They're caught underneath the tire, and so they're kind of coming out this way. And we'll give it a little directional one to kind of come up this way, pointing us back toward that tractor. If there's anything I've learned over the years is that the most important thing in all of the paintings that you do and that you choose, that you have number one, you have contrast, and then number two, that you have a directional line happening with the composition. So your eye is constantly being like led around, or telling the viewer where they're supposed to look and how important that is. It's like so important. And a very light touch at this point. I'm gonna get a little bit of a highlight on that guy. There's a lot of grasses there, which we can always come in and knock back some of those. I feel like I might do that, but I want to put the last little touch on. I want to have some highlight happening. Whoa, that's a very, very big, bold stroke of me. Do I like it? I kind of do like it. Let me just soften it a little bit, pull it. We've talked about how laying down a stroke and letting it stay. And so again, you know, it helps the eye. Actually, the highlights are like the eye candy. I mean, so fun to look at some of those. I'm just looking at everything, see if everything is done. Oh, I do want to put in some of the little parts that might be on the inside of the tractor engine. And then we'll revisit the weeds. I'm taking my orange and I'm adding a little blue. This is my darker orange pile, my shadow orange or my grade orange color. And I'm gonna pinch out my brush so I don't go down in here with too much. But I'm gonna go ahead and look, and I feel there's like one little part here that is something people can see in the engine. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. And where else do I see? And then I see another kind of a part over here. What shape is that part that I'm seeing right in our photo reference? It's kind of like down here. That's nice. And then what else do we have? I'm looking at my other photo reference here, and I see that we have, let's see if we want interesting and varied shapes. So we have, this one is maybe a little bit bigger. We're gonna make him bigger than the other one because the other one is about that size. Put that in there, and then maybe there's something that kind of comes over in here. Now we can put that in. So we have a couple of parts there. Now I want to go ahead and I don't want to bring more attention to that than that. I still want it to be in shadow. In fact, I might even just go ahead and give a little bit more blue into that pile. And let's see if we just kind of go over that and just dial it back a little bit. And then this one here. And that one there. And then I want to go ahead and make up a little bit more of our black, which I do with the burnt umber and ultramarine blue. And pinch that, and let's see if we go ahead in and I'm still seeing some white kind of coming through the canvas, so I'm going to drop some of that in there. Make it a little more brown. It's got a little bit too much blue happening in it. And maybe over here something. I change the shape of that guy. Cut this guy back over here a little bit. Again, this is just playing. At this point, we're just playing with shapes. And there's no right or wrong. It's going to be a matter of what you like. If you like that one shape, just the one dark shape, and you wanted to leave it at that, you know what? That's okay. It's your painting. It's your ideas. Maybe separate that and just kind of show that in there. Come across here. Yeah, I can kind of see actually some of those kind of even get set further back in there. So that's kind of nice with it. So at this point, I think what I want to do is step back. That's about it. Here's our finished painting, put out to pasture. I hope you had a great time painting today with me. I had a great time painting with you. I look forward to it again in the future. And for now, thanks for letting me be a part of your life through my art.